Welcome back, shop rats. Today, here in the shop, we're back on the Stitches Challenger. We're going to start making the floor pans to go inside the cab of this car. So remember that everything that we do here isn't just about a 70 Challenger, but it's about things that you can directly apply to the projects that you are working on. Let's just watch the show intro. I'll see you in about 30 seconds. I'm Mike, and this is My Car Shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Car's Shop.
There's nothing that I like more than taking a rusted out Hulk and turning it into something wonderful and doing it for pennies on the dollar. You know, at the end of the day, when we're out cruising around in this car, we're going to really have a lot of satisfaction in the fact that we don't have hardly any money in this car at all, and we're just out enjoying it and having fun. Now, what we're going to do today is, well, first of all, notice that I know myself well enough to know that this cross brace that I put in the door jamb is going to meet my head many times. And my darling bride reminded me that we had a bunch of these pool noodles around, so we got that covered now. So I know you can't really hurt me by hitting me in the head, but it is a distraction from the work, and I hate putting all those rooster crows in. So what we're going to do is continue on with what we had done in the under seat area here and just start moving our way forward. Remember that we have a subframe connector that cuts right through the floor pan in the back seat, so we can't just put a floor pan in here. We have to make something or modify something to work. Today is, I believe, the first day of spring, and we were fortunate enough to be able to shoot to town this morning to get a few things with scoops, and it feels good to be back in an old car again for sure. But anyway, I'm fortunate that with this car we did receive some pieces of floor pan to put in the back seat area, which we took and modified, and we didn't make everything there. I don't care about making everything. I just want to make what I have work. This piece of floor pan here is the rear seat passenger footwell, and I'm going to use this as a pattern for what I need to make over on the driver's side. Then we'll probably take this one and modify it to fit over in the passenger side. This is a pretty good solid piece here, so there's no point in not using it. Remember that it's about doing things that are safe and strong and doing it inexpensively so that we have money to do other things on other projects and in other places in life. So let's get our sheet metal out and figure out exactly where we need to cut this and make it work. And we'll start by making the outboard part, which is from here over, except on the car, it's that side. And where it goes from the panel over here and down, and then comes up against the subframe connector. So there's some work to do there to make that all work, because as I said, that subframe connector comes right out of the frame rail, which is right here, and cuts right through that floor about 2 inches wide and sticks up about 1.5 inches to 2 inches into the floor pan. So this right here is the area we're going to do first. I measured it out, and to give myself a little extra, it's about 9.5 inches by about 18.5 inches. And so that's the first piece we're going to do. And we're just going to piece our way forward on this as we go. We'll try to reuse as much of the original floor pan that's good as we can. There's actually more good here than you realize. Again, this is the whole context of a car that came out of a junk pile, and we're just putting it back together again to make a fun driver out of here. So we're just stitching it back together one piece at a time. So I got my piece marked out here, and just for those want to know, this is 20 gauge. I feel like that's more than fine for the floor pans, where I did all the frame rails and some of the structural work out of 18 gauge, and of course it was double layered and all of that. By the time we roll beads in here, this is going to be just fine at 20 gauge, good and strong. Plus there's going to be, like I said, joints along the way here, so it'll be good. A nice and strong floor pan. So we got our metal all cut, ground, and cleaned up on both sides. I always try to remember to go ahead and do all that grinding first, because it's a whole heck of a lot easier to clean it before you roll the beads in it than it is after. Don't always remember that, but I try. So I'll take that as a little pro tip or whatever. But so now we're ready to start doing our layout of what this is going to look like in the car. So I'm going to go over there and grab the original piece of floor pan and decide if I'm going to go ahead and try to replicate those beads. Probably not. Or do something that looks close to what those beads are. Probably. Or maybe I'll do whatever the heck I want, because my car, my rules, nobody else's. Did a bunch of cogitating and realized that these are just 45-degree beads that roll along there, and there are 2 body plug holes in here that I couldn't care less about putting back in. So we're probably going to go ahead and just do our own thing here, kind of, sort of like that, but not totally really. So I'm going to do some dimensioning of the spaces and then figure out where I want to put these 45s in here, and then we'll just roll those beads in there. And we've got edges to flame or to bend, and that's just stuff. So we're gonna feel naked. Oh, so much better. We're gonna go ahead and get that laid out here real quick, and then, or is it? I think it's more. So we've got it kind of sort of laid out. That kind of sort of gives you the feel of that, and that's all I care about is kind of sort of. We got a bend on the end here. We got a bend on the end here. We got to bend the flange here and a bend the flange here to fit it into that place we're going to put it. So, but the first thing I want to do is go ahead and roll those beads in there. And that could be a bit of a challenge since I'm here by myself, but I think it's small enough. Hopefully we can do it. And I'm going to roll it with the biggest bead I have, which is close to this. It's the same one we used on the trunk extension, so pretty close. Not everything is exact, and again, I don't care. Everything's set up here, I think, so we'll go ahead and get some beads rolled here. One thing I was just thinking about is gloves. You may wonder why. You know how I'm not a glove person. We are in the middle of recording a new album right now, and the last thing I need to do is slash a hand open and be in stitches, not the car, be in stitches for a period of time and not be able to play guitar. So that's why I'm wearing gloves, in case anybody's wondering. Another thing I wanted to mention is I don't have an English wheel. Normally you would pre-stretch this. A lot of guys like that. I've had some comments about that. I don't have one, and I keep thinking about getting a small one, but you know what? This works, and you can just kind of manipulate things around. When I bend these edges up the way they need to be, it's pretty much going to straighten things back out again, so we'll be fine. So let's get some beads rolled. Okay, I can go a little more on that one. You can see it's kind of curling up, but it'll be fine. We have the technology to change that. Need to pick up a die that's a little deeper than this, but this is okay for now. Okay. Lather, rinse, and repeat. It looks pretty good. Walked off a little bit. That's because I'm doing it by myself. So we'll just kind of pull this back into shape a little bit, like so. Good enough. And then we'll go ahead and do the other 3 that need to be done here. Okay, so we got our 4 beads in there. I think that's pretty good. Notice the metal is all wonky now. That's perfectly normal. We're stretching that metal out. It's got to go somewhere. It's going to pull from where it can, push where it needs to. So what I do here, it doesn't make it perfect, but it's close, is I run it in the shrinker first and get these edges straightened out a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and we'll bend it, and it should come out pretty flat. If it ain't perfect, we will do some stuff. Play some drums, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, it'll be fine. We've done this before, so lather, rinse, and repeat. Remember that normally you only do about a 3/4 inch wide thing to bend it. I'm not intending to bend it. I'm just going out here to the edge and just kind of shrinking it up a little bit and taking some of those spots out. We can hammer and dolly and all that, but I want to get the 90s bent in there. Really, I think that's more important, and that will really help straighten this out. Then if we need to do any dollying, we will do that. So we've got our first 3/4 inch bend there. We'll get her bent up. 90 degrees, close enough. Okay, and that's gone a long ways to now straightening that out. And we got to do another one over here, but before I do that, I want to figure out exactly where that bend has to be, because it has to kind of form, and it's got to bend this way, and it's just got to bend a bunch of ways. So we got a little bit of work to do here yet. A little bit of a mistake on my part. I didn't realize that this was a little narrower back here, so this thing is a little wedge shaped. No biggie. I've got to cut some back here anyway to get, because we gotta put a flange on the end here. So I'm going to start out by just making a little snoop. Is that what it is? Snoop. Okay. And we'll do the same thing here. Again, a little snoop. Good. Tap that back in place, and then I think what I'm going to do is just make a small cut in here like this. That'll allow me to move that in, and we can. Had I been thinking about this differently, I probably would have made this with one of these just as an L piece that would weld onto this, but no big deal. This will be fine. So we got to make a little snoop in here to allow that to kind of bend to where we want it. So we'll just go ahead and do that right now. I think it's about 3 inches up. Probably going to have to use the cutoff wheel for that, so we'll finish that with the cutoff wheel, just to give me some room to just snuggle that over a little bit. I realized that one of the things I didn't show you was how I bent this radius. I couldn't do it in a pipe anvil because of these, so what I did was I just put it in here in the brake, but I didn't use this, and I just kind of bent it up by hand and formed it and bent it up by hand like this, and just kind of formed it in place. This was out of the way at the time, and then of course I just bend this back out of the way a little bit. So it just kind of went in here and I clamped down, and then I formed it by hand just by bending. So it didn't make a sharp edge on it, but it made a radius. So sometimes that's what you have to, what I do to try to make little radiuses and stuff. It's a little bit tighter out here and looser out here. We'll get that sorted out here in a bit. but you get the idea anyway. So you can see how we're kind of getting it down in there. It's still a little bit tight in here, and I think rather than cutting it more, I'm just going to go ahead and probably overbend it, and then I can just kind of dolly it into place. That's perfectly fine with me. And now that I've got the back kind of formed, I know where I've got to cut up in here and bend this to fit that angle this way. So we're getting there, little by little. And of course, it's only part way, so I forgot about that. I need to come out here and mark where that piece is flat, which is about right there, somewhere in that ballpark-ish. So you can see we taper out here to a flat spot. So we'll have a little piece to make to go in there, and we'll just stitch it together little by little. So we got it cut out here now and cut our slice, so I'm just going to go ahead and bend this in the vise this way so I can see what I'm doing, so you can see what I'm doing. Again, we're not looking for perfection. Gonna overbend it a little bit from what it needs. And I'm not hammering this because it is kind of a radius in there, so that'll kind of help form that radius a little bit once we start pounding things in place. And of course I mucked this up, so we got to straighten that out or it's not going to fit. I also took some time and just dollied this in a little bit here in preparation for making that a little bit tapered. So we're getting there. All right, we're getting there. A little bit of work to do. It's still a little twisted, just like me, and that's okay. But we're fitting good down in here now, and where floor pan is lining up where it where it goes like this and here, so that's good. We'll be able to drill some plug weld holes to weld that over to the frame subframe connector there. We'll do a little this way as well. We got to mark some stuff out and cut it, and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to go ahead and get this piece welded in first and then cut it off, since I can just flip the car up and cut stuff off on the back side, or if I'm going to go ahead and well, I don't know, just mark it out and cut it. I'm leaning towards just going ahead and getting this piece in there and flipping the car up on its side and cutting everything out from behind, just because we can. So it's going to look good. I'm really happy with that. Remember, it's a floor pan, so yeah, I don't think I need to do any straightening on that. I might do a little bit, but I can pretty much just push it down into place and it'll look good. Remember what the gyrations we had to go through on the trunk extension to get that flat. We could do that here easily, but I don't think we need to. So I think we'll be fine just kind of forming it into place and going from there. It's a very small pan. It's got some good beads in it, so it's going to be very strong. And it's not going to oil can at all because of the beads and because it's just very small. So I decided to go ahead and just straighten that out a little bit. I just bent it straighter, and it's fitting a little better now. So yeah, I think we're really close to being able to put that in. It's still a little high in that back corner, but that'll snuggle down in there just fine. So yeah, cool. First piece of fabricated floor pan, other than of course what we did up there, which we still have a lot to finish, but it's all done. Just got to finish it up, right? Okay, so I spent some time just clamping it in there, kind of knocking it around. I want to take some time now and dolly this down in. It's getting really good. I'm really happy with the way this is turning out. And if I think I'm going to go ahead and do what I said and probably weld it and then just cut it off on the back side. I'm just going to overlap weld this because it's just a floor pan and who cares, but it'll be be extra good and strong that way. But nice thing is I can just roll the car up and take a look at it real easily, with the rotisserie. So let's knock this around a little bit, get things fitting just a little bit better. think I really like my idea of going ahead and just cutting stuff off once it's welded in there. Should be pretty easy to do. I've never really tried that before, so trying something new. We'll find out if it's a good idea or not, because the only way you try something or do something new is to try something new. So we obviously have the seatbelt thing here we need to deal with, but we can just shoot a hole drill from this side to get that straightened out, so that'll be no big deal. And I think that's going to be good. So let's go ahead and get this piece of floor pan prepped and ready, and then we'll get it, and we'll probably weld it, plug weld it, solid weld it top and bottom once we get it cut off. So I don't know, we'll see, but little by little, liking it a lot. Oh, cool, I can fix this finally too. I mean, not fix it, but finish it the way I want to blend it in here. So we'll get that done at the same time. When Chris was here to help me pull the motor and build the rotisserie mounts, he left me a couple of deburring tools, which I greatly appreciate. And so I don't know where the bit's in the handle on that one. So we're going to go around and deburr these, and then little by little. I went around with a gray primer and just kind of shot it to get an outline on where things are going to be at. And I think I'm going to go ahead and cut some of that material off of there. Oh, watch your head, dummy. So I can just come down in here. Of course, we got a seat belt thing here to be concerned about, but I'm going to cut out some of the bad metal, and then I got to do get some paint on there and stuff before we put this in. But it's a good step, and going to fit nicely, and if we cut that, that'll give me, it'll fall in place a little bit better where I want it. So I think we're good. Got it in primer, shot some paint along where the seams are going to be. It's looking good. Happy with the way it's turning out. So we're ready to go ahead and get it in the car, I think. So we got a little bit of cleanup to do over there, as I said, and we'll go get that done, and then we'll be ready to put this in the car. Alrighty then. So I think that kind of looks like that. Minus the holes, which are just assembly holes and I don't care about. So that looks pretty good. It'll work. We're not striving for perfection. So I'm going to go ahead and tack that in there on four corners, make sure everything's good, and then I think we'll go ahead and get it put in. And I'm curious to see what it looks like from the bottom, but I want to get it in there. I put it in with a couple of bolts just to kind of pull things in place, as you've seen me do on other things. And we're going to have to, kind of go in here and tap things around a little bit and so forth. But you know what? Not bad, all things considered. Not too shabby. Lots more to do, but I got it tack welded in a few places. A couple on the back side, a couple up in here, down there. I had to do a little more on this edge because it was having a hard time getting those two to stay together. No big deal. Tacked in the back, so it's strong, and of course we're not even welded in all the way yet, but that's a nice piece of floor pan. So I'm going to get everything out of the car, and then I want to spin it up on its side and see what it looks like from the back side. So yeah, it's looking good, and nice edge along here. Got a little trim to do here, but I'm not worried about that. It looks like we ended up just a little bit higher on the outside here, but that's fine. The floor pan is level in the car, so it's actually to the advantage in some ways because it'll provide us a little bit of extra material for the carpeting. And as long as we make both sides the same, close enough. I did measure, and it was within 1/8 of an inch, so there may be a little design change here, but I don't care. It's fine. We just got to drill a hole in there, and we'll have to make a little modification here, I can see. No biggie. Yeah, what happened was I think I put it up a little bit too high because my lines aren't, and that's fine. It is what it is. We'll trim this back in here some more. We'll trim this around up in here. We got to punch the seatbelt hole through. We'll weld it all solid out here, peen that all in. It's going to look good. Considering the context, again, of a car called Stitches, this is really nice, and I really like the fact that the bottom of this quarter panel is going to be so easy to fix now. Yeah, this is going to be great. We're not intending to make it perfect. I've clarified that a million times. As a driver, we're just having fun. Got a big goober of weld in there, if I didn't say that earlier. A piece of flash, I got to get that out of there. No big deal. We'll get that cleaned up, but I'm happy with it. And, you know, going down the road at 60 miles an hour, nobody's going to know that these floor pans were stitched into the car. And when there's carpet over the top, nobody's going to know that these floor pans were stitched into the car. And so always keeping things in the context of the car that we're working on, a junkyard pile. Car was totaled. There was another car sitting on top of it. A friend of mine salvaged it. And he had it sitting out behind his shop, and he wasn't going to do anything with it. And we brought it home and said, this is a great fabrication project. Let's do it, because the car's worthless anyway. So having a lot of fun doing it. Burned up an afternoon. Seems like it was a ton of time, but it really wasn't. But I don't really care about the amount of time. That's the thing, is I get immersed in this, and I just enjoy it. And I enjoy making something that looks really cool. And, you know, that's a pretty respectable piece of floor there. By the time we get this all cleaned up, brushed up, trimmed up, welded up, painted up, and shot with some undercoating, who cares, right? It's going to be good enough. It's going to look great. And I'm looking forward to you guys actually getting to, like, lay your eyeballs on the car and see some of this stuff. I'm looking forward to debuting this, even when it's not done, once it's to the point that it can roll around and be put on a trailer. I would love to take it to some local car shows and stuff like that, and we'll keep you informed on, you know, where the car can be seen once we get to that point, because I really would like you guys to look at it in person and just see the work that's gone into it, and get some ideas for your own projects. And yes, I'm probably going to bore you to tears with pictures of me rotating it for a while, because it's just cool. It's a little hard to do this by yourself, but it can be done. Boom. So I took, just a quick note here, I took a bolt with a big nut and ran it through there with the impact gun and stretched that floor pan down. It's less than a quarter inch, it's probably 1/8 of an inch off from the other side now, so all good. It was just a little stack up issue there. The floor pan is really not any more than 1/8 of an inch off from the other side, and the other side is bent. So I think we're good. Not that I care, but just that I'd give you an update that you can see that, hopefully, right? it's so black it's hard to see, but you can see now that I drilled it through and pulled it, and there's plenty of room for the seat belt to go there. By now you guys know how I do things. I'm not going to weld it in all the way yet because I want to make a few more of the floor pans. I was hoping to get that outside and the inside pieces done so that it was done. But, que sera, sera, right? We didn't get it done. Took a little longer than we expected, which is normal. And I was going to mention, one of you guys commented on appreciating that I do share everything that it takes, because some of you I know, and this guy in particular, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was right now, was commenting on feeling like when he does things it takes so much longer than it should. No, this stuff takes a long time. I don't care if you're even buying the parts, as you're going to see with the Forsyth. We bought the torsion bar cross member. We're going to buy the floor pans for that car just to get that one done quick and get it gone. And I want to showcase some different methods to you, different ways of doing things. But yeah, did you hear my brain? Total fart. Oh, anyway, so it takes a long time. I mean, let's face it, you can't, if you're in a hurry, pay somebody to do your car, because, and even then it's going to exasperate you because it takes so long. It just takes time. How many hours did we have into that? You have to understand that part of it is when I'm filming like this, things take twice as long because of that. So there's that to mix into it. But we had maybe, I don't know, 3 hours, maybe 4, no, probably 3 hours total in that. But I've been out here in the shop today for 6 or 7. But that's because got to set up the shot, got to make sure the shot came out, all that stuff. So it takes longer, but I enjoy doing the channel as much as I enjoy doing the project. And the two of those go together because the channel keeps me motivated to work on the project, and the project keeps me motivated to work on the channel. So win, win, win. We have so much winning. That's going to do it for this episode. We're on the face thing. We're over on Instagram /my cars shop. We're here on the U thing, of course. Subscribe, hit the bell so you receive those notifications, and keep those comments coming. This video from filming right now is probably a month out before you'll see it, but the channel's been growing like crazy, and I'm really happy to see that happening. I have no idea what our sub count is going to be by the time you see this, but we got about, I don't know, 70 subscribers to go, something like that, to hit our 1,000. So I think probably by the time you see this, we'll hopefully be there. And that's the beautiful thing right now, is we are able to get a lot of content filmed right now. And life could blow up at any time and I not be able to be out here for a few weeks. So that's why I just keep cranking out those episodes. We put episodes out every Tuesday, every Friday, and every Sunday at 7 o'clock in the morning, hopefully, like clockwork. That's always the plan. Okay, that'll do it for this episode. We're glad you're here. Thanks, guys, so much. You're an awesome support and encouragement. And one more thing.